All right, guys, let's talk a little actual football. And Jimmy, the big news today was that the league sent out a memo to all the teams saying plan for a virtual draft, meaning not to have your draft team assembled in the same room, everybody be in different locations. How do you think that's going to impact what teams are able to do, especially when they're on the clock?
Kurt, I think it's going to be different because, I think you're going to find out who the great talent evaluators are. Even though every franchise, they've got a guy that's going to make the final decision. Most of the war rooms, they had their scouts in there. They had all the material there. And obviously they're going to be on speakerphone back and forth. But I know when I was in the room making a decision about a player, I wanted to have my assistant coaches in there. I wanted to have the scouts in there so we could banter back and forth, as far as talk about a particular player, talk about moving up or moving down, and I think that's going to be hard for them to do, even though they're, like I said, they're going to be on speaker phones and they're going to try to have communication. It's not going to be the same as sitting in the room with all the information on the boards in front of you. I think it's going to get down to the ultimate one guy saying, okay, this is the guy I want. This is where I'm going. You're going to find out who's really good at evaluating talent.
It's kind of an old school way to do it. The one question I have, though, the way the clock is, you get 10 minutes between picks in the first round, 7 in the second, then it goes down. But is it harder to try and make trades because you got to be on one phone with one team, another phone, and then get it communicated to the person who turns the card in? I mean, is that going to mess that up?
It's going to be. I think as far as the trades, they're going to have it in their mind already that they're going to, if their player is not there, they're going to spend that 10 minutes trying to trade down. But I think that they can do this. They can be talking to some of their other scouts or their personnel people and say, hey, talk to this team, talk to this team, talk to this team. Let's try to trade out of this pick. But the communication is going to be extremely important back and forth, and it's going to be difficult.
One thing,
Jimmy,
Terry, go ahead.
Jimmy, I wanted to ask you. All teams have a list of who we want, and then they have the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Do you think that right now the key to this virtual draft is that coach and his coaching staff? They have to know that if I have to go to 2, if one's gone, we've got to know that we still want to stay with 2. If 2's gone, we've got to know we want to stay with 3. They can't be bouncing like Kurt said. We can't be making trades. We got to stick to our plan, right? I mean, doesn't that sound right?
That's how they would do it, Terry. I think here's where you're going to have a problem. Let's say you're on the clock. You got 2 minutes to go, and you're thinking about a particular player. The phone rings and say, hey, we'll trade you next year's 1, for your 2. Now, you've got to make a decision. You don't have time to get on the phone and talk to some other people and let's banter back and forth. Do you think we ought to do it? You've got 2 minutes. And so, you're going to have to make a decision right then and there. Obviously, whoever's making that decision is going to have to talk to the owner first, and then he's not going to have time to talk to anybody else to get their opinion. I think it's going to be difficult. Again, I think it's going to put a premium on the individuals that are really good at evaluating talent, and they've been through the draft a few times. Rookies in this draft room, they're going to be lost. The rookies in this draft room, they're going to say, I'm going to take this guy. It's going to be back to the old best player available, and people will be ringing the phone off the wall saying, hey, we'll trade for this. And they say, no, I'm going to take this player. So it's going to be the old days.
It sounds like the teams that have had the general manager, scouting department together the longer, we're going to have a little bit of an advantage here.
Well, I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, I think given what's on TV now, we're talking about Tiger King, and if Tiger King's dominating the conversation, we're in a desperate kind of place. But this being on, and this potentially being on for 3 days, I think the number is going to be huge. There's nobody. Yeah. There's no high school football. There's no baseball. There's no little league baseball. There's no college baseball. There's nothing. There's no NBA. There's nothing. This is the first of any kind that's going to be on the air. And I think the mechanics of it are right. You're right, Jimmy, are going to be a real challenge. And I think particularly for a team like, you talk about at the beginning of the draft, What's Detroit going to do? What's Cincinnati going to do? Miami's got 6 picks in the first 70 picks, and there's rumor that they want to trade up to 1 or they want to go to 3. Those kinds of deals are made like that, right, Jimmy?
Yeah. And like I said, you're not going to have time, to talk to all the people that you want to talk to get a decision. You obviously got to talk to your owner. You got to talk to the head of personnel. You got to talk to the particular scout that scouted that player. You got to talk to the coach that worked him out, or at least watched him play, watched the tapes. It's going to be, like I said, the veterans that have been in the draft room, the veterans will come out of this thing pretty good.
Do you almost have to rehearse this thing?
Oh, well,
10 times as much.
But things happen that you never think about.
Right.
I remember, we were going to draft, we were going to be like at 15 or something like this. And I wanted to trade out of the pick. I called Joe Gibbs. I said, Joe, I said, let's make a trade. And he said, okay, let's do it. And, I kept waiting. I called Joe back and I said, Joe, we're running out of time. He said, the old man wouldn't let me do it. So I was stuck. So I ended up taking Alvin Harper, who ended up being a pretty good pick. But I probably could have got him a little bit later.
Because you couldn't call anybody else because you were waiting on Joe Gibbs.
Right. Yeah, because he told me we had a deal.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen, and so you got to make some decisions quickly.
That's right, Jimmy, because we hear all these draft experts, and they've got all these drafts. They got them all lined up. There's a bunch of them out there. And they're saying, well, the first quarterback to go, man, it's going to be Joe Burrows. He's going to Cincinnati. So everybody forgets about Joe Burrows because he's going to Cincinnati. Everything says Cincinnati. But, man, at the last moment, it's not Joe Burrows, and then everything becomes chaos.
Miami has 6 picks in the top 70 and wants a quarterback. Which one do they want? Do they want Burrows? Do they want Tua? Who do they want?
They've got the tools to do it.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.